one of the things I got a ton to do is read. I am like, one of the things I love doing, and it helps me doing this show, is keeping up on all the rock news and what people are talking about and what's going on in the world of rock. And I rely a lot on a lot of really great rock magazines that come from England. A magazine called Classic Rock, a magazine called Rock Candy, Metal Hammer. These are all magazines that I get physically in the mail, and the British press does such a great job. You know, yesterday we were talking with Ben Wells from Blackstone Cherry, and we were asking him how Blackstone Cherry is an arena act in the UK. Here in America, not even close to that. And we were talking about how that happens, and he said, you know, there's a lot more weight put in radio and media, and press still really means something when you get in the big magazines in the UK. And you can tell that because they put so much quality into the physical magazines over there, like the ones I just mentioned. Often they come with posters and CDs and stickers, and the photography is amazing, and the writing is great, and they're objective. Most of them will give a bad review. I've often said there's no way you can say, you can't believe anyone if all they ever tell you is something is great. If everything you ever... If you read a Twitter feed, or you read a writer, or you read a website or a blog, and every single thing that ever comes out is great, then you know there's no true objectivity from that person, and you know you can't really get a real sense of what's going on. These magazines like Classic Rock, they'll tell you, hey, they mailed it in, they suck, the record's not good. They're willing to do that. It lends so much more weight to when somebody says something is good. And, you know, I've always tried to do that as well. I mean, it's not always going to, we're in this hypersensitive world where people aren't going to always like it. But I think the responsibility is mainly to be honest with your audience. And these magazines do that. So I really enjoy them. And because of how objective they are and how great they are, I think they still carry a lot of weight. And what I'm trying to get at is they stopped sending, when the pandemic hit, they stopped sending the magazines physically. I'm on the mailing list and I get them, and they stopped mailing them because they were getting hung up. They couldn't ship stuff because of the virus from England to America, whatever was happening. And I just went to my P.O. box earlier today, and I guess they caught up on 8 months of magazines they were unable to ship to America, because I got a stack of these wonderful, great rock magazines that it's great because I can't wait to read them. It's bad because I have no idea when I'm going to have time to read them. Some I'll get knocked out on the flight to and from Vegas and hope to get some done while I'm there. But it's, you know, these magazines, they can take a while to read because there's great content. There's tons of lengthy stories and interviews, which I love. And then the other side, I'm looking at the stack right now, and on the other side is a stack of books that's literally like 12 high that have all come out in the last couple months that I'm dying to read. I mean, I don't have the time. I don't know how I'm going to do this, because all of these people obviously would like to do interviews to promote the book, which I get. But I've always thought it's really difficult and doesn't make a lot of sense to do interviews with somebody about a book that I have not had the time to read. And in all honesty, a lot of the publishers don't care if you had time to read it or not. They just want the mention for the book. But I always, you know, I'll be honest with people if I didn't have time to read the book or not, and they're dying to come on anyway. And I'll just say, okay, you can come on. You're going to have to sell the book yourself because I didn't have time to read it. And that's probably where I'm going to have to go when I come back from vacation with these books, because, you know, people want to come on and promote them in a timely way. I understand, but a book is a big undertaking to read. And I just, between that and this stack of rock magazines, I love it because I love all this stuff. But finding the time to be able to share it with you is difficult. I just got a book today, which I'm looking forward to reading. It's a small one. It looks like it's a short one, so that should be easy, on the making. And our program director, Roger's tentacles are going to go up in 2 seconds. The making of the Kiss Meets the Phantom movie. Raj is a major, major Kiss fan. So hold on, I got to tell you what this is. Hold on. It's called It's called Conversations with Phantoms by Ron Albanese. Exclusive interviews about the 1978 TV movie Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. If it's up to Roger, we'll do a month on that. And I wouldn't have a problem with it either. So, I mean, I got Lenny Kravitz's book sent to me, which I appreciate. And, you know, I know Lenny, and I'd love to have them on about the book as soon as I can get into that. I haven't finished the Halford book. There's tons of others. My friend Danny Zelisko, concert promoter, wrote a book. He's on me to come on. I'm going to get to what I can. I wish we could just take a chip, and probably somewhere down the line we'll have this, where you just take a chip and put it in your ear or something, and you get all the information that are in these documents and these books and magazines. So anyway, we'll get to that sometime when I get back, and hopefully I'll ingest as much as I can while I'm away and be able to share some stuff with you when I return. We got to take a break because I need to stay on schedule, and I need to get some stuff, breaks in a little early versus late, because we are packed with guests today. We're going to talk to Myles Kennedy in a matter of minutes, and a little later on, we're going to talk to Lanny Cordola. And I've been talking about Lanny. He's going to join us from Afghanistan and share his story. And towards the back end of the second hour, maybe some time for a few phone calls before I check out with live shows for a week. Remember, you will get best ofs, and we're going back in the archives 2-3 years on some of the best ofs you'll hear while I'm gone in the usual 2 to 4, 10 to midnight Eastern slot. But let's take our first break. We'll come back There is a book that Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden wrote called Monsters of River and Rock, about his love of fishing and, of course, Iron Maiden stuff. Adrian will be coming on soon to talk about that. There's a book called All Excess, Occupation Concert Promoter, written by a friend, Danny Zelisko, who's quite a character and a great friend out in Arizona who's been doing concert promotion for years. Looking at a book called Go All the Way, A Literary Appreciation of Power Pop. Liberty DeVito, Billy Joel's drummer, wrote a book. What's interesting about Liberty's book, as I'm looking at it, because this is all stuff in my pile, is the foreword is by Billy Joel, which is great, given that if you saw that movie Hired Gun, which Liberty is in, he had major issues with Billy Joel, and he talked about them in the movie. So clearly they got past their issues if Billy agreed to write the foreword to his book. So I was happy to see that. I mentioned this book about the Kiss Meets the Phantom movie, a book called Unrated, which Revelations of a Rock and Roll Centerfold by Carrie Stevens. Once a Rocker, Always a Rocker, The Diary of Cowboy Mock Bell. How deep do you want to get there? Cowboy Mock Bell was the singer on the third Joe Perry Project solo record, the last record Joe made before returning to Aerosmith in the 80s. He has written a book. It's crazy. I got stacks of them. So if you're into some rock and roll reading, I would love to tell you check all of those out. I don't think Adrian's book is out quite yet, but I can't because I can't vouch for them. I don't know if they're good. I haven't read them, but at least I'm giving them a pop because I just don't have time to have these people on at the moment to talk about these books, but hopefully eventually we will get there. All right, so again, today, let me give you the deal. Myles Kennedy from, of course, Alter Bridge, Slash's band. Myles also has a solo record. Myles Kennedy, one of the hardest working touring people on the planet for the last 10 years that I know. And I am real curious, and he's a great friend. He's a great guy. He's an amazing musician. But I'm really curious to hear how he has been doing being locked down or home or essentially locked down. I mean, a lot of people are still traveling within the country, going to studios, traveling coast to coast. There is a lot of travel going on, and more musicians are starting to travel. But Myles is like been nonstop between two major bands and launching a solo career a few years ago. So he must be like shell-shocked to be able to spend almost a year at home. That's unprecedented for him. And Alter Bridge have a new live EP and also released another single from their latest album, Walk the Sky. There's been some talk of some Slash activity. When I get to Vegas two members of the Conspirators / his band, Brent Fitz and Todd Kearns, both live there. And I always